Hello. Minecraft is a video game. Caves are a thing. Minecraft caves are scary. Abyssal Ascent, a Minecraft mod pack where you are thrown down into the depths of the underworld by the hand of God himself, and have to gruelingly claw your way back up through 12 separate dimensions with their own theme, unique challenges, and most importantly of all, new ways to get ripped limb from limb. I'll start this mod pack, as any other, by naming my world something incredibly descriptive, loading in, and being greeted by what looks like the average abode of a redditor. First things first, however, let me, get in the mood. I'm going into this mod pack effectively blind. I've never watched anything about it, I rarely play with the mods active, and my only experience with it so far has been a 30-minute playtest world. In other words, since I'm playing this world on hardcore, as any self-respecting gamer should, I'm probably going to die very, very soon. How sad. After crawling my way by the bank of a lake, I'm greeted with the vibrant and beautiful fauna of this world, oversized frogs and slugs. Brilliant. However, my soon-to-be arch-nemesis can also be spotted sitting alone by himself like the sad, pathetic man he is. John. He is a kind of mob called a rot spawn, and although they don't threaten my existence too greatly, I've sworn a vow to exterminate their kind after the passive groaning sounds they made almost gave me a heart attack during my test run. After marking John due to my bloodlust, I'm soon greeted by his orphan child, assumedly trying to avenge his father, and despite putting up quite the effort, I perform an emergency 28-month post-birth abortion, further adding to my hatred of children. After absolutely smoking that child, I get more luck than Dream does anytime he touches a game, and find conveniently enough diamonds to make a pick and an axe. It would only be later that I realize, however, diamonds in this mod pack are a dime a dozen, so all hopes of balance have been immediately thrown out the window as I can now murder as many of John's children as I want, almost uncontestedly. After I put the finishing touches on my tools and admire them for a moment, I stumble across a stoneborn. These big fellas are effectively just reskinned wandering traders, but actually threatening, and their footsteps sound awfully similar to your mother's. After marking another child and presumably putting John's widow out of her misery, the universe's karmic engine decides to reward my empirically good deeds with another round of diamonds. How quaint. Being entirely honest, a large part of my recording, especially during the beginning, is me stumbling around this cavernous hell like in this clip, terrified of some random mob or mechanic screwing me over and killing me instantly. Fear of the unknown and all that. This caused me to move very, very slowly and constantly retread my steps in fear of getting lost. After fully exploring this section of cave past the area with all of the friendly critters in it, however, I just decided swimming across the lake I spawned out would be a better course of action in the pursuit of a hopefully more friendly environment. This led me to a grassy expanse, somewhat reminiscent of the Nether. However, there was nothing to greet me there apart from a handful of Johns and a surprising amount of dungeons and other miscellaneous structures. After deciding that surely there couldn't be any dangers in this very threatening-looking tower, I decided to engage in some cheeky breaking and entering. After climbing my way up, I find an inscription table without contest from any mobs guarding it, surprisingly. This inscription table is apparently from a magic mod in the mod pack, so I'm sure I will get much use of it in the future. I also find a majestic triple grey bed, and decide to do a Goldilocks, sleeping in it and stealing it from its ex-owner, then quickly vacating the area before any potential consequences could make me regret my actions. I decide to explore a bit more in search of a source of wood, as I only spawned with a handful of logs, and I know to get anywhere in this game, trees do typically come in handy. However, after slaughtering many more Johns on my way, I can only find this mushroom forest with no valuable resources, and the seemingly toxic water sludge, and some surprisingly strong plants, able to hold back a whole cubic meter of water. After a bit more exploring, I find these cute little things called mogs. Nothing notable happened with them, I just thought they were cute. After the mogs, however, I decide to take in the view for some #scenic shots, and I find an additional 2 mobs, some kind of hoglin variant that looks very unfriendly and could probably rip me in half, and some other alien creature that's very fond of jumping around and looking generally scary. Further into my exploration, I find some kind of larger variant of a John, perhaps a Jonathan, and proceed to embrace my inner British citizen and shank him to death while I hide on top of a ledge, like the coward I am. Some may make fun of me for this course of action, however I currently only have a pair of leather boots to call armor, and I would not like to test out the damage that a gigantic mob with 8 HP could do to me in one swing, especially since I don't really have any means of making more food for myself apart from eating the raw beans I've been collecting in my travels. Following my slaughter of Jonathan, I decide to test if the hoglin-like creature I saw earlier are actually friendly, and to my surprise, they actually are. How quaint, an animal that doesn't want my head on a stick in this world. I resign myself to the fact that finding a tree in this world is much harder than first expected, shocking considering we're God knows how deep beneath the ground where you can only dream of daylight, and I decide to start creating a base. I decide the best course of action would be to settle in the old bone-like remains of what looks like an ancient structure. After clearing out the inside, I familiarize myself with the locals, Bob and Bert the Stoneborn, and get to work on properly building, creating bricks out of the deep rock that permeates this entire dimension, and accenting it with grey shiverstone which appears in small pockets surrounding my base site. After realizing that I'm literally too broke for glass, considering I haven't seen an ounce of sand since starting this run, I decide to do a 200 IQ move and use my few remaining pieces of wood to create fences in place of glass, which surprisingly complements the whole mud-brown aesthetic of this building, and by extension, the whole world. After putting on the final touches such as a chest, doors, and actual lighting so a John doesn't spawn in my base and shank me in my sleep, I marvel at my abode and decide to call a hunt for trees quits for this episode. I'd like to thank you all for watching. This is my first ever proper YouTube video, and although I'm sure it's quite shoddy, I hope you've enjoyed. I'll try to upload weekly, if not more, and I don't plan on just doing Minecraft since I don't want to end up catching a case in the future. But that will be all from me for now. Have a nice day.